I never thought I'd sell myself for money. But when your mother is dying and you can't stand it, why not? Having an $800 Zosin hospital bill makes you do terrible things. My name is Zara Blackstone walked into my life 3 months ago. Her name is Ka, and I made a deal with the devil. Life like a hurricane in designer shoes. Hot, strong, and impossible to touch. I almost hit her when she offered me $1 million for just one night together. Her beautiful face. But my mom was dying, and that money was the only thing that could save her. That was all it was meant to be, one deal to save the person. I signed her contract without reading the small print because I wanted to care so much. Details. That night, everything changed. What began as a business deal turned into somewhere deeper, something that scared both of us. But Zara Blackstone always has a plan 3. Some months later, I found out I was pregnant. That's when I found out the truth about her contract, which was written in the legalese. Jargon was a fertility clause I didn't see coming. She had been trying the reproductive technology her company made, and I was her unknowing test subject. Now she wants to take our daughter away, saying she belongs to her. But this baby is mine, and I'll fight the city's most powerful woman to protect her. What I didn't say was, what they didn't expect was to fall in love with the enemy. Before we start the story, buckle up and get ready. Sign up today to get a special treat tomorrow. The harsh shadows from the fluorescent lights above the empty diner. Across the sticky tables I had been cleaning for 12 hours, my back and feet hurt. I had grease in my hair and cheap shoes on all the time. But I couldn't stop, not when Mom's around. Medical bills were coming in faster than I could keep track of them. It wasn't like the electric company hadn't already sent. There were 2 disconnect warnings. That night, I looked at my phone 100 times, hoping for a miracle that never came. This much money was raised through the GoFundMe page I set up 3 weeks ago. $237. Mom's most recent round of treatment cost more than what I made in 2 months here. The doorbell above the door. When I looked up and saw my image in the dark window, I was 12 years old and already looked. I was worn out from life. My brown hair was limp around my shoulders. And my server, my uniform was dirty from coffee and other things that were thrown at me during the dinner rush. We're closed, I said. I didn't even stop to look at the door when I called out. The last thing I needed was a drunk college student demanding. It was 2:00 in the morning and someone said, I know I'm here to see you. It was smooth and sure of itself in a way that made me freeze. Slowly, I turned around with the cleaning rag still in my hand. The woman standing in my doorway made me gasp for air. Tall, with sharp cheekbones and green eyes that seemed to see right through you. She looked like she stepped out of a magazine. She looked right through me. Her black hair was pulled back into a neat bun, and she was wearing a high-end coat that probably cost a lot of money. She was more than my rent every month. She screamed money and power. I put down my cleaning tools and said, I think you have the wrong person. I'm just a waitress. She smiled, and my smile made me want to run toward her and away from her. At the same time, Kaya Reeves, 26 years, 12-year-old, works 3 jobs to help support her mother, who is getting care at Metro General for stage 3 breast cancer. Hospital. My blood turned to ice. How do you know that I make it my job to know things? She took another step into the diner, and her heels hit the... My name is Zara Blackstone, and I've heard that name before. Blackstone Biotech was one of the largest drug companies in the country, and everyone in the city knew about it. Zara Blackstone, 34 years old, was the company's CEO. She was known for being smart, cruel, and completely. What do you want? I asked in a voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, but your mom's insurance won't pay for the experimental immunotherapy she needs, she told him. Without it, she only has about 3 months left. The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd been trying so hard not to. Look at that schedule and tell me you don't see that we're running out of options. That's none of your business. It could be, Zara said as she walked up. I have a suggestion for... You made me laugh, but it wasn't funny. I take it you want to donate? Give the poor lady some money out of kindness. No, thank you. I don't need your aid, she said. It's not charity, and her green eyes never left mine. Business. Her voice made my stomach clench. What kind of business? Zara took a cream-colored envelope out of her bag and put it down. Putting it on the counter between us, she touched the paper for a short time. $1 million is more than enough to pay for your mom's care and give you both a new start. I looked at the envelope like it might bite me. One night with me. The words hung in the air, the space between us, and I forgot how to breathe for a second. Excuse me, she said one night. Her voice was steady and businesslike. There were no strings attached and no demands. Besides that, just one night and the money is yours. My hands started to shake. I'm not talking about prostitutes. I'm talking about an agreement between 2 adults that is good for both of them, Zara corrected. If you want something I want in trade for money, I'll give it to you. What exactly? For the first time since she walked in, Zara's calm broke a little. Something weak flashed across her face before she quickly covered it up. You, that one word made me shiver. My back. I grabbed the edge of the counter to keep myself steady. You're crazy. I'm sensible. She told you? Ka. Your mother is dying, and every day you take offense at my offer is a day closer to losing her forever. The cruel truth of what she said made me want to throw something at her beautiful face. Get out. Zara pulled out a business card from her pocket and put it next to the envelope. Think about it. Just give me a call when you're ready to save your mom's life. She walked toward the store in high heels. She kept clicking in the same sure beat. Just before she got there, she stopped and looked back at me. If you're in trouble, I'm sorry, but this is the only way I can help you. Then she was gone, leaving me alone with the envelope and the choice that I couldn't make. I looked at that cream-colored paper for what seemed like hours. As I picked, it felt heavy with whatever was inside. Part of me wanted to throw it away to act like this talk never happened. In another part of my mind, the part that had seen my mother slowly die for months, I couldn't stop. When I think about what she said, 1 million is enough to save Mom's life and a future for both of us. I opened the envelope with shaky hands. There was only one piece of paper inside, with a phone number written in beautiful handwriting. There was no other paperwork or contract. Specifics, just a number and the promise of salvation. My phone rang with a text message. Mom, I can't sleep because I'm thinking about you. I love you. Baby girl. I closed my eyes and tried not to cry. Every day she was weaker, and the doctors had been painfully honest about how things would go without trying the new treatment. The insurance company turned down our appeal twice, and I had already sold everything I had 3 months worth of value. That's all the time we had left. So I picked up Zara's. I looked at the number on the business card and stared at it. I tapped my phone screen for a long time before I finally found it. Got the nerve to send a message that said, I need to know more. Right away, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. at the Harbor Club. Ask for the Blackstone. I thought about the ticket for so long that the words in the text became fuzzy. The Harbor Club was the most expensive restaurant. There was a place in the city where lawmakers did business and billionaires made deals. I had never been anywhere like it before. But then I thought of Mom's smile when she talked about how she had tried to hide her pain from me. As the cancer ate away at her body, I thought of all the plans and dreams we had together. We planned to meet up again after she got better. Before I could lose it, I replied, I'll be there. The next day was a blur of stress and doubt, and I called in sick I worked the morning shift at a coffee shop, which was something I had never done before. I thought about what I do all day, to wear to dinner with a billionaire who wanted to buy me a night out. Most of the clothes in my closet were work outfits, finds at thrift stores. The nicest thing I had was a black dress I got for my mom's birthday last year. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and fit me well enough. I got to the Harbor Club 15 minutes early, and as I walked up to the hostess stand, my hands started to sweat. She stood behind the platform and looked like she was straight out of a fashion magazine. Everything about her was sharp and expensive. Reservation for Blackstone, I said, barely able to raise my voice. You could hear her eyes skim over me as she looked at my cheap dress and makeup from the drugstore. Right this way. She led me through a dining room that called out for old money and privacy. Warm light from crystal chandeliers lit up tables where men in $1,000 suits sat. Talked about mergers and acquisitions. I felt like a fake because everyone could see I didn't fit. Zara was already sitting at a private table in the back area of this world. She looked up as I got closer, and I saw that she was partly hidden by a decorated screen. It could have been acceptance in her green eyes. You came, she said, rising to her feet. I said I would pull out my chair, and I did. I sat down, very aware of how out of place I felt here. Most people would have thrown my card away and tried to forget about it. It's not likely that most people are seeing their mother die because they can't pay to save her. Zara's face relaxed a little. No, I guess they're not, she said, as if by magic filled our water cups and handed us menus without prices on them. I'd heard about places like this where you couldn't afford to be if you asked how much it cost. Zara said. Seeing my surprise, she said, it's on me. I'm not really. The truth is that I was really hungry and wasn't sure I could keep anything down. When did you last eat? I tried to remember, but all I could think about was how long I'd been living on coffee and energy, the last 24 hours. I think Zara frowned and told the waitress to bring us something yesterday. The sample menu and your best wine. I don't drink much, she said dryly. Tonight might be an exception. We sat there in silence for a moment. It felt like the reason we were here was physically present between us. Finally, Zara reached into her bag and took out a thick folder. Before we talk about anything else, I want you to fully understand what I'm saying. Offering. She opened the box and showed me some medical records. It was your mother's case file. People review it. My heart started beating fast. How did you get this? I know people at the hospital who can help her get the experimental immunotherapy she needs. I can promise she'll be accepted into the trial, and I'll pay for all the costs that come with that. Costs. I stared at the papers as they laid out my mother's name and medical background in legalese. Information. This is against the law. There are rules about patient privacy for a reason. In business every day that are technically against the law, Zara said quietly. What matters is whether you want to save your mother's life or stand firm while she dies. The harsh honesty of what she said hit me like a slap. I looked up at her, seeing something in her face that wasn't there the night before. It looked like, "Why are you doing this?" I asked in pain. "Because I can," she replied. "Why should I? You're the first person in a long time who's interested in me for something other than my money, but I'm interested in you because of your money. That's the only reason I'm here." This time it reached her eyes. "Exactly. That's so honest," said the waiter. Zara brought back our wine and poured 2 glasses. She raised hers in a toast. "To be honest," she said. I thought about it for a moment and then raised my glass. "I have to say that the wine was the best thing I have ever eaten." Complex in a way that made me think of the woman sitting across from me. As the night went on and the booze poured in, I let my guard down and talked to Zara in a way I hadn't with anyone in months. She asked about telling my mom about our relationship and what it was like to grow up with just the 2 of us. I told her about how strong my mom was and how she worked 2 jobs to pay for my community college. Even though I knew she was scared, she never once whined about her diagnosis. In return, Zara shared pieces. She told her own story about how she grew up rich, but alone with parents who treated her like a business. She was more of an advantage than a daughter. She told me about how she built her business from scratch and the things she had to give up. People saw her as nothing more than a pretty face with a trust fund, so she had to prove herself. By the time when the food came out, I almost forgot why we were there. "Almost, I need to know what you expect from me," I said as the waiter cleared our plates. Zara's face turned serious. "One night, nothing you don't feel safe with. No plans other than spending money. We'll spend time together, and my mom will get the care she needs in turn. Sent to your bank account the next morning. You'll have the whole $1 million. I took another, taking a sip of wine to calm down. There must be some kind of contract or legal paperwork. Of course, Zara reached out. She reached back into her bag and pulled out a thick document. Everything we've talked about is spelled out here. Read it carefully and let me know what you think. I looked at the contract with my hands clenched. I took it from her a little shakily. The pages were full of legalese that I didn't get, but the main points were pretty clear. One night, $1 million and save my mom's life. How long do I have to? You need to decide quickly because your mother's health is getting worse. If she's going to start treatment, it needs to be soon. Please let me know by tomorrow night. The choice had become heavy on my shoulders, like a physical burden. Looked at Zara across the table and tried to figure out what her green eyes meant. There was no denying how beautiful she was. There was something about her that drew me in despite everything that made sense. My brain telling me to run. "Can I ask you something?" I asked. Of course. Why me? Could have any woman who does this for a living and would be thankful for the chance. Why pick someone who doesn't want to be here? Zara was still for a long time. I could hear the wine bubbling in her glass when she finally spoke. It was the softest voice I'd heard all night. "Real? Everyone else wants something from me. They see the money, power, and chances I can offer. But you, when I made my offer, you looked at me like I was crazy. You felt sick about the idea of taking my money. I still am. I told you straight out that I knew, and that's why I want you." The weakness in her voice caught me off guard. For a split second, I saw the lonely person behind the strong CEO. I didn't expect my chest to get tighter when I saw the woman underneath. I held the contract close to my chest and said, "I need to think about this." Of course. Zara waved for the check, then turned back to me and said, "For what it's worth, I hope you say yes, not just because I want it, but because your mother should live, and you should have her in your life for as long as possible." As I left the dock that night, I went to a club with a contract in my bag. I knew I had already made up my mind. I just wasn't ready to say it. I was ready to tell myself, but I spent the next day walking around my tiny apartment, reading and rereading the contract until my eyes hurt. The legal language was dense and hard to understand, with a lot of terms about There was privacy and agreement from both sides. But the main rules were pretty easy to understand. Mom called 3 times that she wanted to spend the night with Zara Blackstone for $1 million afternoon, and her voice was getting weaker with each talk. She tried to hide it from putting on that strong face she had worked on for months, but every word showed how tired she was. The latest round of treatment was killing her body almost as quickly as, and we both knew that time was running out. "How are you doing, sweetheart?" she asked during her last. The call came just as the sun was going down outside my window. "I'm fine, Mom. You should be worried," she said. I hate that my illness is making you go through this. I hate that it's ruining You're not ruining anything. We're going." My heart broke a little more to make it through this together. "The doctors talked to me today about palliative care," she said in a quiet voice, making me feel at ease for as long as I have left. The words hit me like a physical. Palliative care meant that they were giving up. It meant that they knew she was going to die, and that was all that could be done. Take care of her pain until the end. "No," I said, my voice stronger than my pain. Don't give up. I'm still working on something, and I need you, Kababy, to know that it's okay. I've had a good life and raised a great girl who I'm proud of all the time. Today, if this is how my story ends, I can handle it, but I couldn't handle it was the thought of losing her and having to live the rest of my life without her. Laugh, bad food, and endless. It was too much mom advice. When I hung up the phone, I sat down on the couch and looked at Zara's contract I was wondering if I said over and over as I picked up the phone that day. My hands were shaking. "She said I'd hear from you tonight instead of hello." I said, "I'll do it." Leaving quickly before I could change my mind, "I accept your offer." There was a pause on the other end of the question. "Are you sure that once we go ahead, we can't go back? You are the only one who can treat my mother the way she needs it. Could you come to my penthouse? Tomorrow night, I'll send you the address." "Okay." My voice was low and far away, like it came from someone else. Zara said in a softer voice than what I had heard before. "I promise to take care of everything. The money will be sent to your account right away, and your mom will start getting treatment as soon as possible." "Thank you," I whispered, and then I hung up, out of my nerves before I lost them. The next day was filled with nerves. I'm sorry I called the hospital and talked to Dr. Martinez, Mom's doctor, about the new treatment. He didn't ask too many questions when I told him we had found a way to pay for it. He just put Mom on the plane. A meeting the following week. "This is amazing news, he said. The immunotherapy has had amazing success in tests. If your mother responds well, we might be able to. Full forgiveness. Full forgiveness." The words kept going through my head as I tried to give the rest of the day my full attention. I gave up my life to save my mom's life, and if it meant she could live, it was worth it. The apartment where Zara lived was in the city's most expensive building, a glass and steel tower that shaved the clouds. The doorman looked at me funny when I told him my name. He called, though, and told me how to get to the top on a private lift that needed a key card. The floor seemed to go on forever. My hands were sweating, and I kept looking at myself in the mirrors on the walls, as if I wasn't scared enough. I wore the same black dress from dinner because I didn't have anything else on, right for what was about to happen. The elevator doors opened right into Zara's room, and I walked into a room that fit in an architectural magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in a lot of light, a view of the whole city below, and everything was dressed in white and gray shades that somehow worked. "Feel warm instead of cold. You came," Zara said, coming out of what? Like a kitchen. She was wearing pants and a white shirt. I had never seen her so casually dressed before, but that made her look even more beautiful. "Beautiful, I promised," I whispered. What would you like to drink? Wine or something stronger? Something to calm me down, but I also needed to keep my mind clear so I could handle what was coming. Zara poured 2 glasses of red wine and gave me one. "To new beginnings," she said, raising her glass. I was going to toast with her, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I took a big sip and tried not to think about it. "What I was doing, you're scared," Zara said as she sat down on the couch and patting the cushion next to her. "Wouldn't you be?" I sat down, being careful to keep There is probably some gap between us, but I've never been in your shoes, right? You've never had to sell something yourself to save someone you care about. Zara cringed a little when I said those words. "Are you thinking that this is a deal where I buy you like a house?" She was quiet, for a moment looking at my face with those bright green eyes. "Would it help if I told you I find you so beautiful that I've been thinking about you ever since we met? Are you sure this isn't just a crush? About the money for you. The money is what brought us together, but it's not. This is why I want to be with you tonight." Her voice had a truthfulness that I didn't expect. looked at her, really looked at her, and saw how vulnerable she was. I said, "Tell me about yourself," which caught both of us off guard. "The real you, not the CEO who is a millionaire," Zara smiled. And this time it reached her eyes and asked, "What do you want to know about everything? What were you like what makes you happy? What keeps you up at night?" "Kids," she curled up tucked her legs under her on the couch. "I was a lonely child. My parents were more interested in their social standing than in raising a girl. I had nannies for most of my childhood. That sounds awful. They were learning how to be the perfect little rich girl. It was lonely. Early on, I learned that people only wanted to be with me because of what my family could do for them. Were business deals. Relationships were strategic partnerships. Is that what this is to you?" In another business deal, Zara reached out and touched my hand. Her fingers felt nice against mine. "Not at all. This is the first time as an adult I've been honest about what I want. I want to spend time with someone who sees me as more than just a bank account, even if I had to pay for the right to be seen that way." Warm up my arm. I hadn't really thought about anything else because I was so focused on the money and what it meant for my mom, Zara as a person. But being here with her and seeing the softer side of her I was beginning to see that she was just as lonely and desperate as I was. "What about you?" she asked. "Tell me about the real Kaya Reeves." I didn't have much to say because I grew up with her. We didn't have much money, but we had each other. It was just my mom. We had jobs to pay the bills, and she still made it to every school play and soccer game. What a strong person she is. Even with everything going on, she's the best person I know. She cares more about me than she does about herself because you love her so much. She's all I have. I told my voice. Zara squeezed my hand and said, "If I lose her, I don't know what I'll do." Kindly, "You won't lose her. The treatment will work." "How are you so sure?" "I've seen it happen many times. Seen the results of the study. The success rate is amazing, especially for patients like your mother. A good chance of full recovery." I felt so much relief it was almost overwhelming. "Thank you. I know this is weird and hard to understand, but thank you for letting her try. Thanks for being here with me tonight." We talked for hours after that. In a tough situation, they shared stories and secrets like old friends instead of strangers. Zara talked to me about how hard it was to build her business as a young woman in a male-dominated field. I told her about my hopes of going back to school one day to study marine biology, refilling our wine glasses. That came as a surprise. I've always loved the beach. Being under the water, away from all the noise and chaos of the upper world, is peaceful. "When did you last go diving?" "It's been years, and I can't afford the gear." "We should change what Zara said after your mom's treatment is over, and she's no longer going on the boat trips. Once we're better, we should go on a warm vacation somewhere with clear water and coral rocks." The way she said it, as if we could have a future together after this one night, caught me off guard. "If you want to, we should. I know this started out as a business deal, but I'd like to think we could be more than that. Friends, I kept trying the word. It didn't seem right for anything. Things were getting better between us. Or more, if that sounds good to you. Exploring Zara. I can't think about that right now tonight. Is about saving my mom. Anything else would be too hard. Of course I didn't. I don't mean to put pressure on you. But I knew I liked her as I said it. The way she listened to me talk and the way, when she smiled, her eyes lit up, and she touched my hand softly. I might have been interested in seeing where things could go between us if things were different. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Anything. Are you planning to sleep with me tonight?" Zara's face lit up. "Seriously, I won't ask you to do anything you don't want to. If all you want to do is talk, that's fine with me. Then we'll talk. You can leave now if you want to, but you paid for. You got me to come here. I paid for your time and company. What now? Tonight? Everything between us is up to you." I could tell she was telling the truth by the way she spoke. I had been so scared of I didn't think about what she might ask of me. She might accept my boundaries. "I don't know what I want," I said. "I've never been in a situation like this before." "Okay, don't worry about it. Let's see what feels right." She got up and put out her hand to me. "Show me something, please." I took her hand and let her lead me to the floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the city. The view was stunning, with all the lights dancing. There are lights and dark buildings that run out to the horizon. I told you it was beautiful. It can be lonely to feel like you're above everything else and different from everyone else. Is that how you feel? Keep everyone else away most of the time. Yes, until tonight. She turned to face me, and all of a sudden, we were very close. I could smell her perfume when we were together. It was so light and expensive that it made my head spin. She said in a soft voice, "Yeah, I'm going to kiss you now if that's okay." "Okay." My heart was beating so fast I was sure she could hear it. "Okay?" I felt her lips touch mine. and they were soft and unsure, not at all what I thought someone with her reputation for, being mean in business. The kiss was soft and sweet, and I wanted more when she pulled away. "Was that all right?" she asked. "Was it great?" We spent the rest of the evening. They kissed and talked on her couch while drinking wine and telling stories until the city lights went out, like it was coming dawn. It felt normal and easy in a way that surprised me. Finally fell asleep in her arms. I almost forgot that money had brought us together. The next morning, I woke up by myself. The huge windows let in morning light, and there was a note on the table in Zara's elegant room. Handwriting: "Must go to a meeting early. The money has been sent to your account. Thanks for last night. Call me soon. Z." I looked at my phone and saw a text message from my bank confirming a $1 million down payment. My mom's life had been saved, and it cost me one night with a beautiful, lonely woman who was nicer and more respectful to me than I was to her. I dared to hope for as I took the cab home that morning. Zara's look at me and the way she listened to my stories made me think of them all the time. It made a difference that what began as a desperate deal turned into something else that left me confused and hopeful at the same time. 3 months later, my mother was completely cured. The trial treatment everyone had hoped it would work, and it did. For the first time in over a year, she was fit and strong. Instead, I was throwing up in my bathroom for the 3rd morning in a row. I should have been the happiest person in the world. I was looking at a positive pregnancy test and trying to figure out what was going on with my life. As the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test became less clear, my hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped it. This couldn't be true. Happen. That night, we were careful, I was sure. When the phone rang, Mom's name came up on the screen. I quickly threw the test into the medicine cabinet and I need to calm down before I answer. "Good morning, sweetheart," she told her. Her voice was clear and strong, like it hadn't been in months. "I'm making pancakes. Want to come over will you be right there for breakfast?" I asked, eager for any reason to leave my room and avoid I just found out that Mom's color has come back over the last 3 months, and she's gotten back most of she had lost weight during treatment. Seeing her healthy and happy should have made me happy, but all I could think about was, "You look pale," she said as she flipped through the pages of the magazine. "That's the positive pregnancy test I hid in my bathroom, making pancakes on the stove. Are you okay?" "Just tired. I got some. In the past few weeks, you've been working too much. You should take some time off and maybe go on Now is the time to take that holiday." She didn't know where the money for her treatment had come from. I told her I'd pay for it. She was too thankful and sick to ask many questions when she got a loan from the bank. The guilt of lying to her. Every day it hurt, but I couldn't stand the thought of her finding out what I'd done. Maybe I said taking a plate of I didn't want the pancakes. "Have you heard from that woman? She helped me get treatment." My fork froze, halfway to my mouth. What woman? The drug company rep she came to see a few times at the hospital and made sure I was having the best care possible. She was a beautiful and very professional woman. I never got her name, and my heart started beating fast. "Zara came to see you." "Zara, yes." I didn't trust my voice to stay steady when I said, "You know her." She seemed very interested in many questions were asked about you because I wanted to make sure you were taking care of yourself while I was sick. The pancakes I ate turned into cardboard in my mouth. Zara had been listening to my mother, checking on her to make sure she was okay. It felt like crossing the lines we had set, but it also felt like she cared about more than just our one night together. I stood up and said, "You should go. I have to work this afternoon." Are you sure you're okay? You look like you're upset about something." "I'm fine, Mom. I'm just tired." I kissed her brow and I left before she could ask any more questions. When I got back to my apartment, I took the pregnancy test out of the medicine cabinet. I opened the drawer and looked at it again, hoping that the lines were gone. They weren't. I needed answers, and there were none. There was only one person who could give them to me, Zara. Her office was on the top floor in the financial area. The Blackstone Biotech building is a tall, shiny building. I had never been there before, and the lobby's wealth scared me almost as much as the security guards who asked for my ID. I told the receptionist, "I need to see Zara Blackstone." A woman with perfect makeup and a look of doubt. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but she'll want to see me." I replied, "Tell her Kaya Reeves is here." The front desk worker took a call and spoke in hushed tones before hanging up, taking me to the 42nd floor lifts and saying someone will meet you there. As we went up each floor of the ride, my stomach hurt. When the doors opened, there was a young guy in a fancy suit. The suit was ready for me. Mrs. Reeves, right now. Ms. Blackstone is in her office. He led me down a hallway with new art and floor-to-ceiling windows. Zara's office was at "Send her in," he said as he knocked on two doors at the end. Zara's words came from inside the office, which was huge and had the same wide view. From her penthouse, Zara could see views of the city. She was sitting at her desk in a blue suit. She wore a blue suit that made her height and authority stand out. She looked just like a powerful CEO, and for a moment, I felt like I was her. She looked like the scared waitress she met 3 months ago when they first met. Said, but you couldn't read her face. "This is unexpected. We need to talk," she told her assistant, who was still hanging in the doorway. "Stop my next 2 meetings and hold my calls." When he was done, the door shut behind him, leaving us alone. Zara pointed to there is a sitting area in front of her windows, with 2 leather chairs and a glass coffee table. Please sit down. Can I get you something?" I told them I was pregnant and didn't want anything. Before I lost it, the words came out quickly, and Zara became very still. Look at my face with green eyes. "Are you sure I took 3 tests this morning?" They were all sure. She calmly sank into the chair across from me. I had never seen her crack since I first met her. "How far along are you based on the timing?" "About 11 weeks. 11 weeks, she said over and over as if she was trying to understand. "We have information that would place conception right around the time we spent together. That means that you are the—" Zara was quiet for a long time. She was the only person I had been with in over a year, looking out at the city below. She finally spoke, but her voice was very quiet. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. I haven't had time to think about it. I just learned about it this morning, but you got here right away. You're the father, or more accurately, the other mother. You had to know?" Something changed in her face when I asked, "Do you want to keep?" It was so important to me to tell her that the question hung in the air between us, about the pregnancy, that I hadn't really thought about what would happen next. So I spoke slowly. I had never planned to have kids this young or in these circumstances, but the thought of not keeping it feels wrong in some way. "Then we'll figure it out," Zara said. I looked at her and asked, "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not going to. I don't want to leave you to handle this on your own if you decide to have this baby. When you become a parent, that you will help us raise our child." Those words gave me chills. "Zara, the only thing that happened between us was a business deal. We're not together now, but we're going to be in touch for the rest of our lives now. This child deserves to have both parents active in raising it." Felt suddenly stunned by how big what was going on. 3 months. I used to be a struggling waitress whose biggest fear was how to pay my mom's medical bills. Now I was pregnant by a billionaire who talked about co-parenting as if it were a business deal. Said, "I need some time to think about it." "Of course, but I want you to know that," I said as I stood up quickly, "no matter what you decide, I'll be there for you mentally and financially. I don't want your money. You'll change your mind when you see how much it costs to raise a child." She said it in a way that made me think that my money problems were just another issue that she could solve with her checkbook. "Zara, it's not always about money, but it is easy when you have it. Don't worry about it." I wanted to fight with her, but I couldn't change what she said. My mom is getting better, had shown me how much money could mean when someone's life was in danger. "I need to go," I said, turning around for the door. Wait. When I turned around, she was standing there, and her face said it all, softer than it had been moments before. "I'm glad you, no matter what happens, told me, and I meant it when I said I'd help you. That's not charity or—" I agreed, and then I left before she could say anything else that could make things harder for me. Even worse, I tried to act like my life could go back to normal over the next few weeks by going to work. I spent time with my mother and tried to forget that I was giving birth to a baby inside me. The morning sickness was getting worse, and Mom knew something was wrong. "You've been tired a lot lately," she told me one afternoon as I fell asleep on her couch while watching a movie. "You barely touched your lunch hour. Are you sure you don't have something going on?" "I'm fine, Mom. I'm just working too hard. You might want to get checked out by a doctor." I may have said that knowing I needed to make a prenatal appointment soon. That night, Zara called me. I didn't answer her texts or calls for 2 weeks, but this time I did. How are you? She asked directly. "Terrible morning sickness is a lie. All day. Have you been to the doctor yet?" "I have an appointment next." "Good. I'd like to come with you if that's okay." I was surprised by the request, shocked, and asked, "Why?" "Because it's my child too. I want to be a part of it from the start. This is all I want from you, Zara. I still don't know what I want from you in terms of participation. I get it. Things are moving so quickly, but I'm not going anywhere. Be there or not, I'm going to be a part of this child's life. Her voice said something. That made me nervous. What does that mean? It means I have rights too. Legal rights that I'm ready to use. If you need to, work out. The threat was subtle but clear, and I could feel my anger rising. You're making threats against me. I want to work with you on this. But if you try to keep me out totally, I will have to go to court to protect my parental rights. Right? You can't be serious. I really do want to be a good person. I'm willing to co-parent with you. But I won't be refused time with my own child. I hung up on her in anger and fear. I could feel the woman who had been so kind and understanding to me during our night together was going to show me who she really was. Shades of pink. She was used to getting what she wanted, and my feelings were not going to stop her, get in her way. 2 days later, a courier brought an envelope to my room. Inside was a legal document that explained Zara's plan to ask for shared custody of our unborn child. It was official and it was scary and exactly what I was afraid would happen. I called the only lawyer I knew. I had a lawyer help me pay my mom's medical bills before Zara came along. This is pretty normal for paternity cases involving wealthy people. She told me after looking over the papers. She's proving her early on in the process. She has legal rights. Can she really get shared custody if she can show that he is the father? Then yes, she has the same rights as the real parent. You have rights, but I'm the one carrying the baby. So that must mean something. It does, but not as much as you might think. Courts usually prefer plans that let both parents to be a part of the child's life. The truth of my situation was beginning to sink in. I was going to be married to Zara Blackstone for the rest of my life, whether I liked it or not. She had all the power in this relationship thanks to her money and law team. That night I lay in bed. One night, I laid down with my hand on my still flat stomach and tried to picture what my life would be like. Our story ended when we got together, but it was really just the start of something much more complex. Rang with a text message from Zara. I'm sorry about the papers. I don't want to fight with you. Can we please try to work something out? Check this out. I looked at the message for a long time before I replied. We need to talk about when and where tomorrow at my place and with Zara. Yes, come by yourself. No lawyers, please. As I fell asleep that night, I thought, if you need help, just you, I'll be there. I couldn't help but wonder if I had made a big mistake when I sold one night to save my mom's life 3 months ago. And that night, everything was about to change. I didn't know if I was strong enough to handle it. Next, the child I was carrying would have 2 moms who barely knew each other but were connected by in a deal that seemed so easy at the time. But Zara Blackstone was anything but easy. And Zara came to my flat on the exact date that I saw that our story was far from over. Time with a small bunch of white lilies in her hand. She looked more nervous than I had ever seen her. She wore dark pants and a cream sweater and put her hair back in a simple ponytail. She looked younger and less strong without her usual power clothes and gifts that made people listen. These are for you. When she gave me flowers, she said, I know they don't make up for the papers, but I wanted to bring something. I gave in to the lies and breathed in their sweet scent. Thank you for the beautiful scent. We stood there for a moment and, before I stepped back to let her in, there was an awkward silence. My apartment felt even smaller with her there. I was very aware of how different our lives were. Her penthouse is big enough to hold 10 of my flats. Get you something to drink, I asked as I put the flowers on my small kitchen counter. Water would be great, she said, poured her 2 drinks, and sat down on my used couch with her. She was looking around the room with real interest. In the framed pictures of my mom and me, the books are piled up on every surface, with all the plants on the windowsill. She said, it's cozy. It feels like instead of your palace, my penthouse feels like a museum. This feels lived in and loved, and it's beautiful. I looked at her face and tried to read what it said. That phrase, is that what you want? A home. I've never really had one. The house I grew up in was more like a hotel where the same people stay every night. The place I live now is just expensive furniture set up by an interior designer. What about when you were married? I asked right away, feeling bad about it. I didn't know much about her personal life, but I remembered reading I've never been married, Zara said quietly. There was someone I lived with. They tried to be together for a while but failed. She wanted me to be someone I wasn't. What do you mean? Be more vulnerable and soft. She believed that I could balance being the kind of partner she needed was my job, but I couldn't change who I am, and she couldn't accept who I am. Took a sip of water to think about what this meant. Is that why you made the offer to me? Because you'd given up on making it in a real relationship? Zara looked down at her hands. I was really interested in you. That night at the hospital gala, when you spilled wine on me, you looked at me like I wasn't a bank account or a business chance. I was just another woman who was in your way. I felt terrible. I thought I was going to get fired. You were real. Everyone else at and that party was acting out their part in the social show, but you were still yourself when they were. I moved around on the couch, confused and sorry, as I tried to understand what she was saying. I wanted to get to know you better, so I chose to propose. It was the only way I could do it. There were a lot of things you could have done to make that happen. You could have just asked me to coffee, pay for your mom's care. If I had asked you out properly, would you have said yes, or would you have thought I was joking? She was just another rich person trying to get your attention. I agreed with her. She had a point. I probably would have been wary of her intentions, no matter how she came up to me. What about the part of the deal that talks about having children? Was that planned? Zara's face turned uncomfortable. That's more difficult. Tell me about it. She stood up, get up, and walked to my window. I looked out at the fire escape and the next building's brick wall. Door. My business has been working on technology to help women who can't have children get pregnant. Of course, we've been trying a new hormone treatment that makes it easier to get pregnant. My blood got cold. You mean you gave me drugs? No, she said quickly, turning back to face me. On top of that, the medicine is given through a topically applied, completely safe, and only temporary. Topical application, I slowly repeated. Like a cream or oil, she nodded, and her face turned a little red. I remembered that night, and what she used for massage oil when we got close was the oil that... Yes, you used some kind of oil that night. The betrayal hit me like a body blow. I know you planned this, but you didn't mean for me to get pregnant. Happen like this. Zara said her voice was straining. The treatment was still being tested, and only about 30%, and most people who took part needed more than one registration over a period of months. But you were willing to give it a try. I wanted to give you a choice you didn't know you had anyway. I had forgotten about it. My voice was rising, and it was hard to keep it down. You don't have a choice. Zara, that's trickery. Even though it sounds silly, I was thinking about what could happen to you after your mom got better. You had to figure out what to do next with your life. So you chose to have a baby with me. Figure out why I chose to give you the chance to start a family with me. We both knew she was telling the truth, and I stared at her in surprise. You wanted me to get pregnant. I wanted to give you something and keep in touch with you that would keep us together forever because you knew I'd never choose to be with anyone else. Without me, I knew you'd never be with someone like me. You're too proud to be with someone who has so much more money than you do. You'd always wonder if I was just another rich person who liked the art of interesting people. Pieces I felt sick, not just like I was pregnant, but really sick, disgust at what she had done. You broke my permission, I gave you a choice to make about my body and my future without asking me. I made sure you had what you needed to raise the baby well, with or without me. That's not the same thing. Something? And you know what? Zara calmed down, cracking. I'm sorry. I know I handled this badly, but I can't tell myself I'm sorry because it means we're going to have a child together. Zara, we're not together. You took one night and turned it into a lifelong duty without my approval. I turned it into a family no. You made it a trap for both of us. Tears were running down my face. I wiped them off in anger. I need you to leave, Cop. Please, let me explain. What can I say? You've been taking advantage of me since the first time we met. With the money, the contract, and the pregnancy. All of it was planned to get you what you wanted. What I wanted was you. Wanted to be in charge. You wanted to own me like you own everything else in your life. Zara stood up and looked at her, with tears still in her eyes. That's not true. You couldn't handle It was possible that I would leave after our night together. So you set things up so that I couldn't. That night, I fell in love with you, she said quietly. I've never felt that way about anyone else before. And I freaked out. I made a bad choice because I was afraid of losing you. You've never had me to lose. The words I said were stronger than I meant them to be, but I was too hurt and angry to take them back. Zara jerked as, if I hit her, I'd leave, she said, but we're still talking, having a child together. We need to figure this out, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, I might not have a kid, the baby. It was mean to say that to hurt her like she did to me. But as soon as I said those words, I saw the pain on her face and knew I had gone too far. You don't mean that, she said, didn't I? You took away my choice about getting pregnant. Maybe I'll take away yours too. Zara looked at me for a long time, and I saw something change in her face. Do you want to become a parent? Finally told him what he needed to do. But know this, if you choose to have this, he said, dear child, I will fight for my parental rights. It's not because I want to hurt you, but because I love this kid. I loved her more than anything else in my life. She left without saying goodbye, and I was left alone in my room with a bunch of we'd said to each other and the weight of the silence. The white lilies she brought filled the room with their scent. I read everything I could find about the subject over the next few days. The perfume was both beautiful and mocking, about Zara's company and the fertility methods they were working on, about past custody cases and the law, about technology for controlled reproduction. The more I learned, the more I realized how carefully she had planned everything. The test treatment she gave to FDA approval for me wasn't due for months, but early tests had shown that it worked amazingly well. She'd basically given me access to cutting-edge medical technology without my knowledge. She also broke every rule of informed consent and hurt thousands of women who were having trouble getting pregnant. Medical ethics. Without my permission, she used me as a test subject, I made a meeting with Dr. Martinez to talk about her wants for my health and future. I called my mom's doctor to ask him about the treatment she had gotten. I wanted to know if Zara had lied about that situation as well. The experimental immunotherapy your mother got was amazing, he told me. To be honest, the drug company shocked her by letting her take part in the trial. Usually, they have very strict rules, and your mom's case was further along than they usually accept. What do you mean by someone with a lot of power? They must have pushed for her because the OK came straight from Blackstone Biotech's CEO's office. My suspicions were confirmed that Zara had also tampered with my mother's care to get her into a study she might not have been eligible for. If not, everything had been set up to make me owe her something and make me thankful enough to forget the fact that my permission had been broken. That night, I called my mom and asked if I could come over because I needed to tell her the truth about everything, even what I did to save her life. Let me tell you something. As we sipped our tea in her living room, I told her about how I got here, the money to pay for your treatment. Mom put down her cup and looked at my face. Had a question about that. You said you borrowed money, but no bank would give you that much money without deal with someone who could pay for your treatment. What did you put up as collateral? I didn't get a loan. I told her everything about meeting Zara at the charity gala. She agreed to our night together. I told her about the pregnancy and I hadn't agreed to fertility treatment. And by the time I was done, Mom was crying. She pulled me into her arms and said, "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I felt like you had to do that for me." I said, "Do it again," and I meant it. However, you die. Now that you're pregnant by a woman who cheated on you, you'll be linked to her for the rest of your life. Mom, I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to fight her for custody so she can't have any power over me, the way she ruled me as a child. But part of me feels like I should just leave, change my name, and go somewhere she can't find us. Is that what you want? Want to spend your whole life running? I want to keep my child safe, to make sure Zara can't use them against them like she used me. Mom was quiet for a moment and stroked my hair in that way she did with me when I was little. What if you're wrong about her intentions? What do you mean? What if she really loves me? What if she did bad things because she was afraid of losing you, not because she wanted to control you? It doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. It does matter because you have to choose whether to forgive her, to see if you can trust her to be a good mom to your kid. I moved back to look at her. I don't know if I can trust someone who has been lying to me from the start, but I do know not running away will not help. If she has the tools you say she does, she will find you in the end. Then you'll be weak instead of strong when you deal with all of this. What are you telling me I should do? Do fight for what's best for your child, even if that means Zara gets shared custody. Then make sure it's on your terms. If you have to raise the child by yourself, get legal help to do so. That happen. But don't decide anything based on fear or anger. Mom, I'm mad at her because she broke my trust. I know she lied to both of us, and you have every right to be angry. If you're mad, don't do something you'll later regret. I thought about what my mom had said on the way home that night. She was right, running away wouldn't help. Zara was too determined and had too many tools to give up if I did. She went away, but I couldn't just forget what she had done. The pregnancy could have been a gift in some ways, but it was a gift I hadn't asked for because I had to find a way to keep my child safe. I had to set limits for Zara and me while still letting her be a parent. It was something I had never had to do before, standing up to someone with a lot more power than me. The next morning, I called the police. I talked to my lawyer again and set up a time to talk about my choices. If Zara wanted to fight for custody, I would get ready for battle. But first, I had to figure out why I was fighting. The mediation for child custody took place in a clean meeting room that smelled like carpet cleaner. Zara sat across from me at a long table with two lawyers in fancy clothes on either side of her. I had one legal aide. Mrs. Blackstone wants shared physical and legal custody of her lead child from her lawyer, who looked like she'd rather be somewhere else. the lawyer said while sliding a document across the table. She's ready to provide substantial financial support and has laid out a full parenting plan. I quickly looked at the papers without reading them. They asked, "What do you want?" I replied, "Of course, Ms. Reeves, what are you doing?" "For custody plans. I want to raise my daughter by myself, with supervised visits from Miss L." Zara's jaw clenched. "I've never given Blackstone until we can prove that she's a stable influence. You any reason to doubt my stability? You broke my agreement by getting me pregnant, which I think brings up some questioning your judgment." "Ladies," the mediator said, "let's try to keep." This was about what was best for the child. We argued about for 4 hours. Zara wanted 50-50 custody of the kids, with equal time for vacations and decision-making power. We were both unwilling to give up primary custody in exchange for limited visits. Compromise. "We'll meet again next week," the mediator finally said, clearly angry, since we weren't making any progress. I highly advise both sides to think about what arrangements will actually help this child's best interests. As we left the meeting room, Zara caught up with us, with me in the hallway. "This is crazy. We're fighting over a child who isn't even ours, not even born yet. You started this fight by trying to trick me into getting pregnant. I'm sorry I did that." "I agree, but hurting me won't change what happened. I'm not trying to punish you. I'm trying to watch out for my daughter." "Our daughter," she said, "and she'll need both of them." I was tired from mediation and from arguing with you over and over again. I can't do this anymore. Can you do this now, before our 18-year-old daughter starts to wonder why her parents hate her, each other? The question stopped me in my tracks. I was so mad at. I told Zara that I hadn't really thought about what this continued fight would mean for our child. That night, I lay in bed, with my hand on my growing belly, trying to picture who I would tell about this. Someday, a little girl. How do you tell your daughter that she was born because one parent lied to the other? How do you explain how love and hatred can get so mixed up? At 22 weeks, I was beginning to show. The baby's moves were getting stronger, little flutters that kept reminding me that this wasn't real. It wasn't just me and Zara anymore. There was a third person who should have been treated better than parents who weren't allowed to be in the same room without lawyers. My phone rang at 3 a.m. When I woke up and saw Zara's name on the screen, my first thought was that something had gone wrong with the custody case. Her voice was strained and scared. "I'm at Metro General. There was an accident." My blood turned to ice. "Type of accident? Were you hurt?" "A drunk driver hit my car. I'm mostly fine. But the doctors want to keep an eye on me overnight because I'm bleeding. They're worried about internal injuries." "Why are you calling me?" "Because you're the only person I wanted to hear from." The sound of weakness in her voice catch my attention. "Guard Zara. I know you hate me now because I messed up everything between us. I could only think about how much I wanted to call you as I lay in this hospital bed." I closed my eyes and felt even though everything that had happened between us, I felt a familiar pull of worry for her. "Will you be alone?" "Yes." "Who will help you?" "Lawyers. You must have people who could be there with you." "I do." "Employees." "I don't have people." The sound of loneliness in her words broke my heart. Zara was rich and powerful, but she felt alone in the world, just like she did the night we met. I said, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Before I could stop myself, "Don't worry, I'll be there." I changed clothes and drove to the hospital, telling myself I was going there for the baby. Our daughter should have had both parents alive and well, no matter what. How I personally feel about Zara. I found her in the hospital room. In a hospital gown, she looked small and weak. Her left arm was in a sling, and her left side was bandaged. Hit the steering wheel in the face. "You came," she said, her eyes wide, bright, and what looked like tears in her eyes. "How bad is it?" "Shoulder joint dislocation. They want to keep me for observation because I briefly lost consciousness at the scene." I said. I pulled a chair up. It was next to her bed. "What happened?" "I was driving home from work when some driver hit my car from behind at a red light. If I had been in a smaller car, I probably would have died." When I thought about Zara dying and our daughter never getting to meet one of her parents, my chest got tight. I said, "I'm glad you're okay, but I wasn't sure if I meant it." "Are you?" At this point, you'd care either way. "Of course I care. I'm mad at you, but I care. Don't want you to die." We sat there quietly for a while and watched machines beep. The sounds of the hospital in the distance. It felt strange to be back where everything had begun. "Can I feel the baby?" was the question that brought Zara into my life in the first place. She asked all of a sudden. The request surprised me. Even though we were in court, Zara had She never asked to be a part of the physical parts of the pregnancy. She never went to the doctor's visit or they asked about ultrasounds or how I was feeling. I told them, she's not moving much right now. I found out last week that she and I are going to have a girl. Something changed in Zara's. I hadn't seen that much softness in her face since the night we spent together. It was a daughter I was going to tell. What's going on with the lawyers? But can I still ask her again? Toward my belly. I paused for a moment, then took her healthy hand and put it on mine. The baby gave a strong kick, right where Zara's palm was resting, as if it could tell I was paying attention. Oh, Zara took a deep breath and said, "Oh my God, she's been pretty busy lately, even more so at night." "She's real," Zara said, her voice full of wonder. I knew she was real because I could feel her move. Another kick, this one even stronger. Zara laughed through her tears. "She's strong. She has to be with us as Mom and Dad." Zara looked up at me with her hands still on my belly. "We're going to mess this up, right?" Most parents do. At least, it's partly because I don't know how to be a parent or a family with someone. I also never planned to have children, to do this so young or in this situation. But you'll be a good mother. You know how to take care of people well. How are you so sure? "'Cause why did you come here tonight when you're mad at me? Because you took care of your mother when she was dying. No matter how hard it is, you're ready to fight for what you think is best for our daughter." This made me cry. I look at Zara and think, I don't know how to trust you again. I want to, but I can't. How can I be sure I didn't break something between us that can't be fixed? But then why are we fighting? Why are we fighting over parenting plans, settlement, and custody when we can barely have a polite chat? Zara was still for a long time, moving my thumb slowly across my stomach because I love you and our daughter, even though I did a lot of bad things, and I think we could make something good together if we both work hard enough. Zara, love isn't enough when I want to earn your trust again. Show me that I can be the partner and co-parent you need me to be. I'm not sure how yet, but I'll figure it out. The nurse came in to check on Zara and me, broke the link between us by pulling my hand away. But something had changed in those moments when we'd felt moving in together with our daughter. It's not quite forgiveness, but it could be the start of a... As the nurse finished updating Zara's chart, I said, "Maybe I should go. You need to take a break and call me tomorrow to let me know how you're doing." Okay. I was almost at the door. It meant the world to me when she called my name and said, "Ka. Thanks for coming tonight." Something changed between us over the next few weeks. I nodded and left before I could say something I might have felt bad about. We started calling each other often, but not about child support or legal problems. Instead, we talked about Zara's pregnancy, asked about my appointments with the doctor and my symptoms. She sent me books on child growth and organic baby food, recipes. When I had to go to the emergency room because I was so sick with morning sickness, she met me there with Ginger. When my ankle swelled up so much I couldn't work, she set up a food delivery service in the background. She made me feel like she was taking care of me. "But you don't have to." I told her that one afternoon when I brought you pregnancy vitamins and a foot massager because I care about you. I care about both of you because you're carrying my daughter. Even though I'm still mad at you, because it's the right thing to do, because you're still mad at me. I need to make up a lot. At 30 weeks, I was put on modified bed rest because of high blood pressure. The stress of the custody fight and my mixed feelings about Zara were hard on my body. My doctor was worried about preeclampsia and wanted me to take. This is exactly what I was afraid of. My mom said when I told her about the bed rest order. All this fighting with Zara is bad for your health and the health of the baby. What am I? Should I just give in to everything she wants? No, I should find a way to work with her that doesn't involve giving in to everything she wants. Poison your health. That night, Zara called to see how I was, as she always did. I was told to stay in bed by the doctor. I asked her, "What? Is the baby okay? Our blood pressure is too high, and the stress is bad for both of us." There was a long pause. It was because of the custody battle, right? It was all the court back and forth, from one place to another. I'm partly taking back control. What I'm going to do tomorrow is call my lawyers, and I am taking back the plea because I do not want to do anything that could harm you or the baby. Zara, you don't have to say it, but I couldn't I forgot about my duties as a mom because I was so focused on my rights. My first duty is to keep you both safe and healthy, but you wanted shared care. I want our girl to be born healthy more than I want to win a court case. We'll figure it out. Figure out the co-renting deal once she gets here. If I decide I don't want you involved, I'll respect that choice and set up a trust fund for her medical and school costs, and I'll take a step back. You would really do that if it was best for both of us. Yes, I did feel something crack open in my chest. It was a place where I could forgive, could grow in the long run. Thank you. Don't thank me for what I did. Should have done months ago. A week later, I got official word that Zara took back her request for custody. She also sent a scribbled note, "Keep your health in mind. Everything else can wait." For the first time since I felt like I could breathe when I found out I was pregnant. The stress of constant court cases and mediation sessions was something that almost felt like peace had taken its place. At 35 weeks, I called Zara with an offer that caught her off guard. "Would you like to come to my next scan with me? She's been moving around a lot lately, and I thought you might be interested. Maybe you should see her." "Really? You'd want me there?" "I think our daughter should know that both of her parents wanted to see her. I'll be there to see her even before she was born." The scan showed a healthy baby that looked like Zara's stubborn chin and my nose on a baby girl. We watched her suck her thumb and stretch her little body. We both broke down in tears when we saw her face for the first time. "She's perfect," I told Zara in a whisper. "She's ours." And it felt like the first time, something to celebrate instead of then endure. After the meeting, we sat down, Zara's car in the hospital parking lot. Neither of us was ready to go. I finally said, "I want to try to make something good for her, not just co-parenting, but a real family." "Are you sure?" "No, but I think she deserves parents who try to love each other." Zara replied, "I already love you. I'm sorry I haven't been able to show it better, but I think I could. I love you too. If we start over, if we build something on virtue instead of how do we trick someone." Carefully and slowly, with a lot of talks, and definitely some therapy, Zara laughed. And it was the first time in months that I heard her sound truly happy. "I'll be slow and careful, but I can do treatment. And no more secrets. Manipulation. If we're going to do this, we should do it as equals." She agreed. Partners. I tested the word over and over again until it felt right. Our daughter was born. 3 weeks later, she was healthy, loud, and perfect. As I held her when I hugged Zara for the first time and stroked her little hand, I understood that sometimes the strangest starts can lead to the most wonderful places, to the most beautiful ends. We gave her the name Elena, which means light, in both of our lives. She showed us a way forward that neither of us could have imagined at the time. That diner is where we met for the first time many months ago. Love doesn't always begin with flowers and roses. To get there, you have to be desperate and make decisions that you can't keep. You also have to sign contracts that will change everything. Fight for it and carefully build it up from the ground up. It can grow into something stronger than either person thought was possible. Elena brought us together and helped us learn to trust each other. But what we made together was ours, a family from the worst. Despite the odds, they chose to stay together every day, and that choice kept them together.